What up, reader fam? Today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts on the books that I read in the month of December. I only got around to reading 4 books this month. Even though I wanted to read so many more books, it just didn't happen. I feel like that's been a trend with me this year. Like, I go into each month wanting to read a butt ton of books and then I only read a few. But that's okay because I really enjoyed every book that I read this month. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's talk about the books that I read in the month of December. The first book I read this month was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan. This book is about a girl by the name of Lily who leaves this notebook full of instructions in the Strand bookstore in New York City, and then we follow this boy by the name of Dash who is one day browsing the shelves of the Strand and he comes across the notebook. And our story takes off from there as Dash and Lily leave different instructions for each other, different dares and whatnot, and through the process of writing back and forth through the notebook they get to know each other on a really deep level. This book was just so much fun and I read it at the perfect time because it does kind of have that Christmas in New York setting and I loved that setting, and it was just nice to read this in the month of December. I loved the characterization throughout the story. I felt like both the characters kind of stood out on their own, and they were both very, very different characters. Dash is a little bit on the pretentious side, but I still loved his character. I really liked Lily as well, but just not as much as Dash. That might be just because she reads a lot younger than she actually is. But overall, I really loved this story. It was a unique concept and it was executed in a great way. So would recommend if you love contemporary stories. I also have a full video book review if you want to hear all my thoughts, which I will leave a link to down below. The next book I read was Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. This is a memoir about Jacqueline Woodson's life, what it was like growing up in the 60s and 70s as an African-American woman. This book was written in verse, and I haven't had the best luck with books written in verse. I haven't always enjoyed the books that I've picked up that were written in verse, but I really enjoyed this. In fact, the thing that I loved the most about this book was the writing. It just completely captured me. A lot of the books that I've read that are written in verse, I feel this kind of disconnect with the characters, but with this book, I did not feel that disconnect at all. I felt so connected to each character, and I don't know if that's just because this book just goes so deep into the life of Jacqueline Woodson. It digs really deep into Jacqueline's thoughts and her history, so you really get to know her on a super deep level. There are a lot of elements that come into play with this story. It's a very complex read, but it's one that's simple to take in. It covers topics like discrimination, religion, what it means to be a feminist, and family. I think my favorite thing in this book was the family aspect. There was just such an interesting dynamic between all of the family members, and I loved just seeing all the different relationships. On one hand, I really liked the plot of the book. It just felt real and raw. It felt like I was reading somebody's diary, but I also have to admit that at times the plot was a little bit dull. Don't get me wrong, there were things that definitely kept me invested in this story, but there were little in-between moments where I felt like I needed more from the plot. But on the other hand, I feel like this book just had such a powerful message. It's about growing up and everything that you face while growing up and just how you handle yourself, and overall, I just really enjoyed this story. Next up, I read Everything by Nicola Yoon, which I really freaking enjoyed. It was so good. This story follows a girl by the name of Madeline, and she has this disease where she is unable to go outside. She's basically allergic to the outside world. Then a boy moves in next door and changes her world. I know that this kind of sounds like a cliche description, like this girl's dealing with something and then a boy moves in next door and it just changes everything, but let me tell you that this story is not unoriginal at all. It is original. The author takes the story in a really unexpected way, and I think it just might surprise you. I loved Nicola Yoon's writing style. There were so many lines throughout this book that just made my little word lover heart pound. Boom, 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 boom. This book is pretty short, but I was surprised by how quickly I became attached to every character within the story, especially our main character, Madeline. I just got so attached to the journey that Madeline was on throughout this book. I would definitely recommend this if you are a contemporary lover because I think it just really brings something fresh and new to the genre. And finally, the last book that I read this month was actually the Booksplosion book of the month, and that is The Sun Is Also a Star, again by Nicola Yoon. If you missed our live show for this book, I will leave a link to that down below so you can go check that out and hear all our spoilery thoughts. But this book follows a girl by the name of Natasha whose family is about to be deported back to Jamaica, and we also follow Daniel who is just trying to live up to his parents' ridiculous high expectations for him. I'm not sure that I like this book as much as I liked Everything, but I still really enjoyed this book, and they're also two very completely different stories, so it's really not fair to compare the two. I think the thing that this one did more than Everything did was just make me think about a lot of different things because it covers a lot of different topics. It covers things like immigration, fate, religion, and family, and it doesn't really do it in an aggressive way. It just kind of does it in a subtle way. But you finish the book and your mind is just like reeling and you're just constantly thinking about the different things that she covered throughout this book. Overall, I really enjoyed this book and I have a full video book review on this book as well, so if you want to hear all my thoughts, then I will leave a link to that that video down below. So those are the 4 books that I read in the month of December. You guys should let me know down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them. Also let me know down below some of the books that you read in the month of December. This is my last video for the year of 2016, which is crazy. Where has the year gone? I don't even know. But let's just say I am ready for a new year. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so click subscribe if you want to be notified for when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, choo. What up, reader fam? Today I am bringing you my Christmas book haul. What? I got quite a few books for Christmas, and I'm super excited to talk with you guys about